Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu and I'm back with another Digimon deck profile video. So today I'm going to be taking a look at BT11, and BT11 offers us lots of new and powerful tools to be able to build and iterate on some new and existing decks. And today's deck I'm going to be talking about is going to be the Digimon Tyrannomon deck. So Jijimon is one of the new cards that came out in BT11, along with a new wave of Tyrannomon support, and it's a tamer-based strategy where we're trying to utilize our tamers to be able to play Digimon and be as aggressive with our Digimon as we humanly possibly could. So Bandai decided to actually do a little bit of a deck profile themselves. My deck obviously is going to be a little bit different, but this is just a good baseline along with my deck in order to kind of gauge what you want out of the deck and the possibilities that the deck has. So when it comes to their description of the deck is going to rely on Jijimon and RustTyrannomon. So they're two very powerful cards that have lots of good synergy, both being able to digivolve off of green and black Digimon, allowing us to have a pretty decent flexibility in terms of the tech and tools that we have access to. And then as far as the overall deck composition, this is just their interpretation of the deck, and they have a couple of key staple cards, which I definitely agree with Agumon, Panjyamon, and Mamemon, all coming from BT11, being really important for the deck to try to help not only just dig out your tamers, but be able to play your tamers, so that way you can make the most out of your Jijimon and RustTyrannomon's abilities. But that's just their interpretation of the deck, and this is my interpretation of the deck. You could see between the two iterations that the core idea is still the same, where we're just trying to have some cards to help set up our tamers, and then utilize the fact that we're playing tamers to gain some benefits, and utilizing the fact that we have a wide field of tamers, or we ideally want a wide field of tamers, to make our cards as strong and effective as we possibly can. So going over the deck, starting off with the Digitama, I'm going to be running only 4 copies of Tanemon because it's the only Digitama we realistically need. It's just acting as a good source of card draw, just because it's interacting with the fact that we want to play our tamers and rewarding us for playing our tamers, making it just the best Digitama for the deck. If you wanted to run a 5th Digitama for the deck, by all means do so, and it could be really anything you want. I just want the consistency on always making sure I have Tanemon's ability, which is why I limited myself to only those 4 eggs. Next, on to the rookies, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Terriermon. So this is the BT3 version of Terriermon, and this is just a anti-meta floodgate rookie for us to run, while also having the Terriermon name. So its ability is going to stop the opponent from utilizing any memory manipulating shenanigans on anything but their tamers, forcing them to try to deal with this card before they can make some more efficient and effective lines of play. Next, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Agumon. So this is the BT11 version of Agumon, and this is just going to act as a solid way to try to dig out our tamers. If you wanted to, you could also think about running the BT7 version of Betamon in its place, just because it's doing the same type of thing, it just is searching a little bit differently. So Agumon here is going to be looking at the top 4 for any of our green tamers, which is the majority of the cards that we want to see, while also having a nice inheritable ability to be able to increase the overall DP of our Digimon to help their overall survival when attacking into the opponent's security or their Digimon. And then the last rookie of the deck is going to be 4 copies of Terriermon. So this is the EX2 version of Terriermon, and this is another Terriermon that we want because we're playing a tiny bit into some Terriermon synergy, on top of the fact that this Terriermon is making it easier to be able to play our tamers. So when we play a green tamer, we get to gain 1 memory, which just makes it utilizing our tamers even more efficient and effective while he's sitting passively on the field. And then he also has a nice inheritable ability for us to use that, again, like Agumon, is going to help it with the overall DP of our Digimon, so that way they can be as powerful and effective as they possibly can be. Next, on to the champions, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Rapidmon. So this is the BT8 golden version of Rapidmon, and he is one of the reasons why we want to play a lot of Terriermons, is because he can digivolve a little bit more efficiently off of our Terriermons. Then on top of that, he has the armor purge ability, so we could be pretty aggressive with this card if we want to, so that way when he does eventually get deleted, whether it's through us attacking into the opponent's Digimon or security, or they're trying to delete our Digimon, it doesn't necessarily matter. It's just going to basically de-digivolve the card back into what's underneath him, which ideally should be our Terriermon, so that way we could either use that Terriermon to try to disrupt the opponent, or use that Terriermon to try to advance our overall game state. Then on top of that, he has a nice when digivolving ability that's utilizing the fact that we want to have a lot of tamers by allowing us to suspend an opponent's Digimon for each tamer that we have in play, which we want a wide field of tamers, and then he's going to minus 5000 DP on up to 3 of the opponent's suspended Digimon, which we just suspended with the first part of his ability. So he's just a very powerful, well-rounded card for utilizing our tamers and our Terriermon-based synergy. Next, I'm going to be running 2 copies of Arbormon. So Arbormon is just that hybrid alternate win condition. We don't necessarily want to utilize this card to try to climb our stages. We could if we really needed to in a pinch, but he's just here just to digivolve on top of our tamers, so that way we could utilize our tamers alternatively to try to sneak some games in once the opponent's security is all broken and cleared. And then the last champion of the deck is going to be 4 copies of the brand new BT11 version of Tyrannomon. So this Tyrannomon has a really good on-play and when digivolving ability, making him a pretty flexible card on the types of abilities that we want to utilize him with. Again, allowing us to be able to help us set up and play our tamers, which is the core theme and focus of the deck. Then he also has a nice inheritable ability that's increasing our Digimon's DP, similarly to Agumon. Next, on to the ultimates, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Panjyamon. So this is the brand new BT11 version of Panjyamon, and we just care about the fact that he could help play our tamers for free for digivolving up into him, which is just pretty good because we want to try to have easy and effective ways at setting up our tamers for our higher level Digimon to use. Then he also has a nice secondary ability to be able to give the Digimon we play off of card effects the rush ability, so that way they can be as aggressive as they possibly can, mainly comboing with our Jijimon. And then the last ultimate of the deck is going to be 4 copies of Mamemon. So Mamemon, even though he's a black Digimon, he could digivolve off of a green Digimon, and all of our level 6s could digivolve off of green or black, making him just a really good card to want to fit into the deck, especially since he has lots of different ways that we could utilize the card. Just because his ability, whether we digivolve into him or we hard play him, still allows us to be able to try to dig through our deck to try to set up our tamers, which is the main goal of the deck, to try to make our Digimon as efficient and effective as we can possibly make them, while also having the nice inheritable ability to give whatever's digivolving on top of him the blocker ability for some good defensive lines of play. Next, on to the Megas, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Jijimon. So Jijimon is going to be the main Mega of the deck, just because he's another card that allows us to play our cards as easily and effectively as we possibly can. So just digivolving up into him allows us to try to help play some of our tamers, and he really wants a wide field of tamers to pair up with his when attacking ability, because for each of the tamers that we have in play, we get to reveal the top card of our deck and then play any number of green or black Digimon whose total play cost adds up to 10 or less, and play them for free, which is just really good because if we combo that with Panjyamon, then the Digimon that we just played can gain the rush ability to be able to attack and be hyper aggressive with, while us already attacking with our Jijimon. And then the last level 6 of the deck is going to be 2 copies of RustTyrannomon. So the brand new version of RustTyrannomon is another really good card to play around with the deck, just because if we could get a level 5 off of our Jijimon, then it just aligns us up for an easy RustTyrannomon, just because he has the ability to make himself even more efficient when we digivolve into him for the amount of tamers that we have in play. Then he has this nice all turns ability where once per turn, when this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon by battle, then we get to unsuspend this Digimon, which is really good to combo with our Mamemon, so that way we could try to give him blocker during the opponent's turn, and when he blocks, he'll unsuspend that way to be a multi-blocker, or he could attack the opponent's Digimon and be a multi-attacker. And then the last Mega and only level 7 of the deck is going to be one copy of Chaosmon. So Chaosmon is just a pretty decent tech card just because he could Digivolve off of green and black. He has the piercing ability natively, and he has this nice when Digivolving ability to allow us to unsuspend this Digimon to make a follow-up attack, and it can attack the opponent's unsuspended Digimon, which is pretty decent at trying to control the field while also dealing damage to them at the same time. Next, on to the Tamers, I'm going to be running 2 copies of TK and Izzy. So TK and Izzy is a fantastic tamer to allow us to try to generate some extra memory, so that way we could try to out-resource the opponent, rewarding us for having a high-level Digimon in play, and essentially punishing the opponent for having a high-level Digimon in play for, again, more memory generation. Then, on top of that, when we Digivolve into our higher stages, we could suspend them to try to DP reduce the opponent's Digimon, so we have easier ways utilizing this card to try to control the opponent's field. Next, I'm going to be running 2 copies of Mimi. So this is the BT1 version of Mimi, and this is going to be the deck's dedicated memory fixing tamer, making sure that we're always going to have at least 3 memory to work with, so that way we could try to make our plays as efficient as we possibly can. Then she also rewards us for having high-level Digimon in play by utilizing her secondary main ability to basically get another raising phase, so that way we could try to be aggressive with our raising area. Next, I'm going to be running 2 copies of Izzy and Mimi. So Izzy and Mimi is kind of a flex spot for the deck. It could really be any tamer you feel like would best synergize or help the deck function. I just like Izzy and Mimi as another way to be able to generate some extra memory, taking advantage of the opponent having suspended Digimon in play going into our turn. Then on top of that, it has a nice secondary ability that helps us try to Digivolve in a more random fashion. We do have to keep in mind that this does have anti-synergy with Jijimon, where it'll miss the timing on its when attacking ability if we Digivolved it with Izzy and Mimi, but it's still just a pretty good card, allowing us to try to Digivolve into our higher levels as efficiently as we possibly can. And then the last tamer of the deck is going to be 4 copies of Taiga. So Taiga is a card that not only is just helping with the overall efficiency, it's helping with the overall power of the deck. So he's just going to passively add 1000 DP to all of our Digimon to make them as strong as they possibly can be when we're aggressing. And then on top of that, when we Digivolve our level 5 or higher Digimon, then we get to suspend this tamer to reduce the cost of the Digivolution by 1, so that way we could try getting into our higher stages as quickly and efficiently as we possibly can. And then as far as the options of the deck, I'm going to be running 1 copy of Hidden Potential Discovered, just again to try to help the deck in terms of evolving into the higher stages as efficiently as it possibly can, just because we have ways to be able to spawn extra bodies, and then we could use those extra bodies to do various different things, and Hidden Potential Discovered is a fantastic way to use those extra bodies to be able to climb the evolutionary ladder. And then the last option card of the deck is going to be 2 copies of Green Memory Boost for some added consistency. So Green Memory Boost just lets us look at the top 4 for any of our green Digimon, and then it goes into the battle area for its secondary ability of Delay to gain 2 memory at a later turn, so that way we can have more powerful push turns when we need that extra memory. But in terms of the overall game plan and gameplay of the deck goes, as I mentioned before, it is all about tamers. So we're just trying to utilize our cards to be able to set up our tamers, and then we want to have a wide field of tamers, not only to gain different advantages for the different tamers that we're going to be playing, but to try to make our cards as effective and efficient as we possibly can, utilizing their abilities that do care about our tamers. So, some of the base examples in terms of like the simple combo plays that the deck has is we're going to be utilizing our Terriermons with our Golden Rapidmon. So Golden Rapidmon cares about how many tamers we have, so that way he could suspend more of the opponent's Digimon down, and his DP reduction ability is actually pretty good at being able to control the opponent's field. Then with the Armor Purge ability, when our Rapidmon eventually does die, he'll just turn back into a Terriermon, either to help us be able to play our cards more effectively, or try to stop the opponent from some of their actions, because it's just a really good floodgate to sit on to be disruptive towards the opponent's overall game plan. Then as far as the actual intended line that we're going to be trying to do, it's going to be utilizing Agumon. So whether we utilize Agumon in the raising doesn't necessarily matter. His on-play ability is pretty helpful to help us dig out our parts and pieces, but he's just a well-rounded card for the deck to use in various different situations. Then the card we want to digivolve Agumon into ideally is going to be our Tyrannomon, so that way we can utilize his when digivolving ability to help set up our Taiga if we have just a card sitting on our field and we want to be able to set up our tamers efficiently, or utilize his on-play ability to do the same thing when he gets hit off of a Jijimon if he does. But his inheritable ability helping DP boost just makes our higher level Digimon have a higher chance of survival when being aggressive. And the Digimon we want to digivolve Tyrannomon into is going to be Panjyamon. So usually what I found myself doing is hiding my Agumon and Tyrannomon stack in raising. I want to have a Mimi set up on my field, so that way I'll move him out and start my turn at 3 memory, so that way I could use Panjyamon to be able to set up another tamer, and depending on how much memory I have left over, even if I just have Panjyamon sitting in my raising and I move out, digivolving into Jijimon also will help us set up our tamer and be able to swing with Jijimon, so that way we could try to use Jijimon's when attacking ability. But Panjyamon is going to be the preferred card we want to digivolve our stack into, so that way we could try to utilize Jijimon's ability to be able to play Digimon and have those Digimon gain rush. So that's just the whole core crux of the deck, is just being able to flood the field, utilizing our tamers and our Jijimon, and just rush and aggress onto the opponent down. One of the better cards to be able to play off of our Jijimon is our Mamemon, just because, again, it has that on-play ability to be able to have the flexibility on trying to utilize him to set up our tamers, and then with the extra Mamemon, we could go into a cheap and efficient RustTyrannomon, and if it has Rush, then our Rusty can swing right away with. Then for some added control in a pinch, that's kind of why Chaosmon is just in the deck, just to try to help with the Black War Greymon matchup, just because Black War Greymon, one of its biggest weaknesses is being suspended or attacked down, so that way we could try to have easy and efficient ways at being able to clear their card. And then all of the different tamers just help do various different things, so that way we could try to gain as much memory and resources as we possibly can to be able to play our cards as effectively and efficiently, while trying to be able to use them to also try to help aggress onto the opponent, which is the whole core goal and intention of the deck. And then there's still just a whole bunch of customization that you could do in the deck to really tech it to be what you want it to be. So if you wanted to, you could think about utilizing Zendro and Ballistamon package, just because we have easy ways to be able to play our tamers, and then Zendro is a tamer that helps us play our Digimon, and Ballistamon is a really good defensive card because he also has the save ability to be tucked underneath our tamer, which if we play another Zendro means that we could reuse our Ballistamon. So it's just something cute and cheeky that we could do, on top of the fact that it's a card that's playing Ballistamon by a card effect, in case we want to be aggressive with Ballistamon in combination with our Panjyamon. And then we even have the Ruli package if we wanted to try to utilize Agumon better, so that way we have the ability on our tamer to try to suspend the opponent's Digimon, so that way we could try to beat them up that way. And Agumon is acting very similarly to one of the Terriermons that we're already playing, except instead of gaining some extra memory and DP, it's helping us draw some cards. Then we also do have more of a Tyrannomon focus that we could think about utilizing, just because we do have another Taiga, and we do have some other Tyrannomon cards that we could think about incorporating to be able to utilize our Taigas even more efficiently while they're on the field. Then the other Tyrannomons that we could think about is the EX1 Tyrannomon to help play our Taigas, so we do have to be careful because this card is only considered green while on the battlefield and not in the raising area, so he could block our evolution. But most of the time we would want to digivolve him anyway to be able to help play our Taigas. Then we also have the BT2 Tyrannomon as another searcher or digging tool to be able to try to find our tamers and our high level Digimon. Then we do have the new Metal Tyrannomon as another fantastic card to think about utilizing, again for that flexibility with the on-play and when digivolving condition and tamer interaction, on top of the fact that it also helps delete the opponent's security for deleting their Digimon Digimon by battle, which is something pretty powerful, which is basically like piercing, but a little bit better. Or if you just want to go for some raw damage while still being in line with the Tyrannomon synergies, then we could just also think about running Master Tyrannomon. Then we do have some other really good generic green cards that we could think about incorporating. As I mentioned before, we could run Betamon over the Agumon as a way to help dig out our tamers, just because Betamon also has the potential to be able to dig out our level 4 Digimon as well. But we do just have some other really good generic rookies in the form of Kokuamon to use just for some extra memory generation when we're attacking into the opponent's Digimon, and we even have another floodgate in the form of Pamumon, depending on your type of build. Pamumon isn't necessarily the best with Jijimon because it does block that ability, but we have ways to be able to get rid of Pamumon, so it's not really negatively impacting us. Then we do also have Kogamon as a good inheritable to try to add some extra protection, so that way it de-incentivizes the opponent from wanting to attack into our Digimon just because of the retaliation ability. And then we do have some other level 7s that we could think about utilizing. I think Omnimon Merciful Mode is one of the other better ones that Green has access to. Then Green just has a slew of different options that you could think about utilizing. I'm going to be highlighting Grandisol as one of the better removal options that Green has to work with, acting as a really good security threat. But between their build, my build, and more pure Tyrannomon build, there's just a lot of different directions and different types of cards that you could play in the deck to really make it something special and unique, and I think that's just one of the core strengths of this style of deck, is just all of the amount of different tools that you have to work with at your disposal. So that's all I really have for this video. As always, feel free to tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, and down in the description below are a couple of different ways you could support me and the channel. So I do have a TCG Player affiliate link, so when you use that link to buy cards off of TCG Player, then some of that money will go to supporting me and the channel. I also do make and sell playmats over on Overcard Gamers on Facebook, so when you buy a playmat with my design, then some of that money will also go to help supporting me and the channel. And on top of all of that, I do have a Twitch account over on twitch.tv/Zenitsu, so giving me a follow and a subscription also helps support me there, and I do play Digimon on top of various other games on that platform as well. So thank you everyone for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next video.